So as the bank account sort of got smaller, you tapered off?
You know, the last book I published, which I don't have, is, as I was saying, is one of the second of the 474-page manuscripts called Real. It was going to be published by the Post-Apollo Press. Simone Fattal is, you know, a friend who lives in Sausalito and in Paris, and she publishes a lot of books. You may know them. And she published the first book in that, the first of the long books called Portraits and Repetition. It's a beautiful book. I wish I had it. Large format and very nice. And she was going to publish the second one and had it for about a year, and then she said she wasn't going to publish it because the first book didn't sell enough, so, you know, cost too much and so on. So of course I was disappointed, and I thought, well, shoot, I don't want to send it. It's, you know, it's really hard to have a book that long published, especially, you know, doing it, published it, you know, printed in McNaughton and Gunn or Thompson and Shore, so it's expensive. So I thought, well, maybe I should just publish it with Avenue B. And I did, and it was expensive, so that brought the bank account down. It's almost sold out, but so here we are. I'm now contemplating another book, but we'll see.
Is it you're contemplating publishing another of your own?
I am. I'm contemplating another of my long books, although I have not many poets submit manuscripts to me anymore. I think I'm almost under the radar screen. I mean, because I don't advertise my books that much. One of the books that's over there, the one that's closest to me on the shelf, the color scheme has changed. You see, it has blue and green in the cover. It's called, what is it called?
There's a copy there.
Yeah, it's Dreams. Yeah, Involuntary Vision, after Kurosawa's movie, Big Dreams. And this was actually a grad student at Mills named Michael Cross, who's quite a mover and shaker. He went on from Mills to Buffalo. He's finished his PhDs back at Oakland now, and he publishes chapbooks. He does a lot of things. Very energetic and intelligent person. Anyway, he said, we were, you know, we had a class, a graduate workshop, and there were some really good poets there, and they wanted to, he proposed doing a project where everyone would watch Kurosawa's Dreams and write poems in relation to it or in response to it or something. So all this work came forward, and then they wanted to publish it, so we did that one. And the color, the black, red, and white scheme changed. The other book on which it changed is this book by Ron Padgett, who you see has no red on the cover. It's an illustration by Trevor Wingfield, who's a New York artist, and Trevor Wingfield was insistent that it was a black and white drawing that he made, or, you know, an image. So he was, you know, really insistent. I realized it meant to be, so I put some on the black. We got, you know, we did that, but anyway, yeah.
Well, that story actually relates to my question, which is about kind of dedication to your project and this sort of single-mindedness, this decision to do kind of one thing for a long time, and every day, and kind of be unflappable about it. And I just wondered about that, just kind of
I maybe should be more
how that.
flat.
I mean, I don't know. I have a lot of admiration for that kind of consistency and faith. And I'm just wondering about how, you know, are there moments where you think, why am I doing this every day? Or are there not? How does that work for you, with you?
That's a good question. You know, truly there have been such moments, but they don't happen so much now. I'm so in it now. I mean, it's like what I do is it's essential events in my life that it would be really difficult to stop. I mean, if I was injured or impaired or something, I can't quite imagine right now what it would be to stop doing these poems. So, and I don't know how they are for other, for a reader or for a listener. I mean, I have some sense that it becomes kind of hypnotic maybe to listen to this as it is for me to write it, which I kind of like. I mean, I have ideas in a way about what's going on here, like minimalism and, repetition and how things shift in tiny incremental ways and how everything is always the same. And the poems, they sound the same to you, but, and in many ways, but there's things that shift in the lines, so that even if the words are the same, they're in different lines, or in a different word order. Is waves sounding in channel or sounding waves in channel? That thing in the foreground is always there in the same position. This is like this drone going on. I can't escape it, but I might have to. I'll escape it. I don't know. Tomorrow I was going to say, but there's always something in the foreground. So, but yeah, of course I've asked that question, but I don't think I asked. I mean, I'm not having that issue right now. Maybe I should be. Yeah, no.
This is something that's always irked me, and I wonder if it's bothered you, but it feels like they're starting in like 2004 or 5. There was this kind of revisionist history of the erasure, where we go, Hugh Newman and Ronald Johnson, and then it jumps to Jen Berger with her next sonnets project. And I've always admired the erasure that you had done of Shakespeare sonnets.
Yeah.
I'm just curious your take on it. Like, I see all the time reviews and mentions, papers, discussions, panel talks about it, and it seems like that book somehow disappeared.
That's a curious thing. Yeah, I agree. I wonder about that too. And she came to read at Mills this fall. I never met her.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting work, beautiful. Her visual art stuff is amazing. And a very nice person. And I also realized this Nets. Jen Bergen's book is called Nets, and she works with Shakespeare's Son. I think it was published, do you know the year?
I think it was 03.
Maybe. And it's gone through like 4 printings of thousands of copies. And it's really on the radar. And my book called Where Lay the Sweet, in parentheses, Birds Sang. It was published by Leslie O. Books in 88, I think, or 89. And it was before, I didn't know the Hurement book, Tom Phillips, right? But of course I, was studying the Renaissance at Berkeley. I wrote a book on Campion. It was a songwriter, Shakespeare's contemporary. I taught Shakespeare, I knew Shakespeare, this is in my world. And sonnets, and so I did this book in which I had maybe a Xerox copy of the sonnets, and I just, I had the crossed out or underlined words, and I wish I brought a copy, but I made these shapes on the page of one or two words or parts of words on a line. Something from every line, they go down the page, they look like abstract line shapes, and there's 2 sonnets on a page with a line between them, so they go like this on the page. And it didn't attract any attention. It went under the radar. And a couple years ago, there's a man named Joshua Kryah, I think, Kryah. I think he teaches in Nevada, Reno. Do you know him?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he wanted to do an AWP panel with erasure. Now I know this word erasure has come up. It wasn't in my vocabulary. And he wanted to put my book in the panel and some other things. And AWP turned it down. He was a couple of years ago, so he was disappointed. And just lately, there's a critic in France, Vincent Broca, that I met. He's a teacher, and I went to Paris a couple of years ago and did a reading in Cole Swenson's apartment. All these French poets came, and the next year Vincent invited me to come back and teach and do readings. And so I met him, and he's one of the double change people. And so he's just now published